Welcome into the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show this side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, north of the equator, and featuring, well, if you haven't been paying attention to the podcast since last year, I'm going to use it as an excuse to strike this man, a recently married Anthony SanFilippo. Apologies to all the fine folks out there who are hoping to have a shot at this man. He's now a happily married man. Look at the joy, the wedded bliss on the face of this man. Welcome into a very exciting season here again on the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show. Ant, it's good to see you. How are you feeling? Do you feel as good as you're looking right now?
Can you answer me a question?
No.
What is this silly outfit you got on?
It's not silly. It's actually quite beautiful.
What is
this? It is opening night, and so I decided to class up the joint just a little bit. You're more well-dressed than you were when you were officiating my wedding. No, that was a nice black suit. That was a fantastic suit.
It was like you're going to a funeral.
This
one is like,
well, it was
this
kinda,
is more joyful.
It was kind of like the funeral of Maria's future. She stuck with you. But we are very excited because, as we said at the onset, it is a new season, and it's one that is, for the first time in a very, very long time, full of actual expectations. Now, we don't expect this Flyers team from the onset to be the best Flyers team in the history of the team. We don't expect them to be a Stanley Cup contender, but what we do expect is to see some young guys on this team take the next step. What?
I can't take you seriously.
Oh, yeah. I'm
trying my best.
I broke out
I
the
am
Russ
trying
dash.
my best to look over at you and not just start laughing at you in this lavender, pink, whatever color this is.
It's a fine jacket. It is a fine jacket.
But no, it is. You're right, Russ. It's a reason to get excited for everybody for the start of the home portion of the Flyers season. I know you lose 3 straight on the road and you only get 1 win out of 4. Maybe it tempers you just a little bit. But there was a lot of things. Like, I don't think they were awful on the road. I thought that they played kind of as expected. Yeah. Maybe you would have probably thought that they could have gotten 1 more win. I kind of thought that they would beat Calgary, even though it was on a tough back-to-back. I don't think Calgary's that good a team, although they've gotten off to a great start. So Kudos to them for that. And really the Flyers' problems have come down to, a couple of one big thing and a couple of small things. And the big thing is, and what we have to talk about to start the Press Row Show tonight, is the backup goaltender situation. Because Ivan Fedotov has been
not so good.
Yeah, not so good is the nice way of putting it. Just really looks like a guy who is not used to those shots staying low on the ice as he's trying to look past the traffic in front, because they don't have a lot of traffic in the KHL. I think that's the difference for him. And so he's spending all that time kind of trying to look over people, and the shots are coming low and he can't get down and block them. And so I don't know if he needs some time, in the AHL.
Yeah.
But the problem is,
there's a problem with that.
Well, it's not really a problem. It's Kolosov is the guy that would come up.
He would.
They were really hoping that he would have a great 2 games against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, who are a very good AHL team, right? They were hoping that he would have 2 really good games against them this weekend. So the management may be here watching the game, but they do have an eye on what's going on with the Phantoms and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins.
Yes.
Yesterday, first period, he gave up 4 goals in the first period.
Not ideal.
Not ideal at all. He was better in the second and third period. But I will tell you this with 100% certainty: if he struggles again tonight for the Phantoms, he's not coming up. They're not going to make the move.
Well, of course. So let me first start off by saying
it becomes a problem because you can't play Sam Ersson all those games.
There has been a hypothetical out there, especially in recent days, and especially after his second performance, Fedotov, that perhaps he's trying to look over the traffic. You mentioned that yourself.
Yep.
As a notorious tall person myself, I can tell you that it's just habit. When you're that much taller than everyone, you do kind of tend to peek over top like a giraffe. But what you really do need to see out of Fedotov is a fundamental change there, because he's getting caught. It's not just that he's getting caught looking out of position. He's unable to get down.
Right.
You can't fault the guy. He's a massive human. What is he, 6'7"? 6'11" on skates? Like, he's an incredibly tall human being. You just try at home. Go from a standing position down into a butterfly.
Yeah.
See how that works. So there are certain things that they need to work on with this guy. Let us also not forget, Fedotov 2 years ago was picked up in a van and sent off to go do military service. He had 1 season back in the KHL. He came over here under very quick turnaround, breaking in new pads, the works, right? It wasn't an advantageous situation that he was put into at the end of last year. Obviously, the hope from the organization was, okay, you give him a full summer, you give him training camp, you get him ready, you give him a preseason, you get him ramped up, and he's going to look more like the guy that the Flyers, or some within the Flyers, thought could push Carter Hart for some playing time a couple years ago. Look more like that guy. Unfortunately, what has happened so far is you're seeing this kind of resurfacing of end of last year Fedotov. I'm not ready to give up on him, and I will point out...
No, I don't think the Flyers are ready to give up on him either.
I will point out, this is still year 2 of the rebuild.
Yeah.
You know, there is something to be said for subpar goaltending is going to help you in that not maybe being as close of a bubble playoff team as the season ago.
And so here's something that, I know a lot of people are talking about, like, oh my God, they gave him this awful contract, right? Two years, $6.5 million. Why are you paying that guy that kind of money? I think that there's 2 reasons that it's actually kind of a smart contract.
Ooh.
Okay. The first is that, and most people don't really recognize this, but it had a lot to do with getting Matvei Michkov over here. Same agent, right?
Yeah.
So the agent is now motivated to kind of help get that contract terminated in the KHL to get over here because he made some extra money on another player. Okay, so that's number one, first and foremost. So in and of itself, it's a win because you got Michkov over here this year.
Yeah.
And then number 2, if he doesn't work out right away at the NHL level and you need to send him down, he has to clear waivers. Correct. Who's going to claim that contract on waivers?
It's probably inconceivable.
Yes.
However,
I don't think
injuries, depending on the timing, injuries could be a factor.
No, I don't think so. I think an inexperienced goaltender
who has played well at the national team level for the Russians,
but a while ago,
in the KHL.
A while ago.
Yeah, but there are worse options out there.
No.
I think there are.
No, I think every team's got their people in-house that they would prefer over taking on a contract of $6.5 million for a guy who has not proven he can play at the NHL level.
3.75 a year isn't the end of the world.
It's not going to happen. So, in other words, they know they can get him through waivers.
And if they can put him through, then great. The problem here is that you don't exactly know what Kolosov is. You saw what he was at the end of last year in the KHL. You didn't really get to see him with Lehigh Valley. He wasn't here for the full camp. He wasn't here for the full preseason. Lots of reasons for that. If you haven't done so already, go back and watch the roundtable that we did with Danny Briere and Keith Jones and Dan Hilferty, where Danny kind of alluded to the fact that there were some things they didn't know about the Kolosov situation a year ago. There were some things about the pressure to play for Dynamo Minsk, his hometown team, that they were unaware of. And it does seem like he intends on staying in North America. There have been no murmurs of he wants to go back. He is homesick.
He intends to stay for a little bit. Let's be honest. If the Flyers, let's just say, I'll tell you right now, if Fedotov came out and played 2 great games in his first 2 starts, then there might be a concern that Kolosov would not want to stay.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that he has not played well might buy you a little bit extra time with Kolosov because he hasn't played well. But I think it's a decision that's going to have to come up with the Flyers and with Kolosov. He might push for it as soon as the end of the month. And so then,
he's not exactly in position to push for it.
Well, if he's not playing well, of course he's not in a position to push for it.
But I'm saying even if he does play well and Fedotov doesn't, who the hell is he? He's a young dude who hasn't proven anything in North America.
I agree with you. I'm just telling you.
I find it hard to imagine. He switched agents, right, in the offseason. That did happen
several times.
So one.
Love it. Wearing the Bundy bomb
man
shirt.
Greg is out here.
Yeah,
wearing the Bundy bomb shirt.
That's awesome.
We've had a lot of people come up already.
Yeah.
By the way, a lot of people. Many people.
Yeah, many people.
We are very excited. Look at this. Oh, he's got the stream going too. See, that's what it's all about. He gets it. He gets it.
Absolutely
Greg
awesome.
from Violin. Love this guy.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Anyway, the goaltending situation is something that obviously is going to be something to keep an eye on this season, just in general. Last year, the Flyers benefited in a massive way from unbelievable goaltending between both Carter Hart and Sam Ersson. They don't appear to have that locked in and ready to go to start this season, which, in theory, isn't necessarily the worst news in the world if you're a Flyers fan. Now, what you find folks don't see right now is intern Andrew trying to do acrobatics as he moves from his table. We gave him his own table this year.
Yes.
And he proceeded to, oh boy,
Go.
and now we got the extra menu up on the screen. It's fine. He also, let's see if he can center it. Can he center it? There we go. Maybe. All right, we'll take that.
We got the camera menu on the screen.
We can't do anything about it. He was worried about that before. Anyway, we welcome to the show for the first time this season. Who better than Kevin Kurtz? How are you?
Good. I like the pink blazer there. That's sharp.
See this flanked. We have wonderful blazers.
Yeah, this is a little
flanking this guy.
Yeah, but like Kev's dressed in like normal colors. Very earth tony.
Yeah.
You know, they got the tan and the navy and the brown. You're just like flamboyant.
Well, I mean, in fairness, I am a rather flamboyant guy. Kevin and I have slightly different levels of melatonin, I would think. Like we are melanin or whatever.
Melanin.
Not
melatonin. That puts
I
you
could
to
use
sleep.
some melatonin.
Yes, that puts you to sleep.
I would love to go to sleep. But instead, we are going to be subjected to what could be a very interesting game. But Kevin, I do want to bring you into the conversation that we were just having. Goaltending last year, the Flyers benefited in a huge way. Carter Hart, Sam Ersson. Yeah. They're not getting that with Ivan Fedotov.
Right.
We're talking about the potential leash. If there's much of a leash, Kolosov's play not exactly spotless with the Phantoms. Based on what you've heard, people you've talked to, do you think Fedotov is going to have much of a leash here?
It sounds to me like and they said this from before the season even started, that his leash is going to be pretty long. Now, that was, I think, said before we knew Kolosov was coming back over. It's, there's got to be some concern there, though. I mean, we've all seen him so far. He doesn't look comfortable. He didn't look comfortable in Calgary. He was letting in bad goals in Seattle. There's got to be some concern there. And, that's why John Tortorella said a week before the season started, the goaltending scares the hell out of me. That's what he said. And I think they should be encouraged by what Sam's done so far. He was very good in the season opener. I thought he was okay in Edmonton as well. But, your backup goaltender these days has to start probably 30 games, right? At least 25. So you can't succeed in this league without a backup goaltender that can win games. And I don't think anyone knows right now if Ivan Fedotov can win games.
Yeah, and we were talking also about the fact that this weekend was an important weekend for Kolosov down with the Phantoms.
Yeah.
They're playing him both last night and tonight against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, who are a good AHL team.
Right.
And the first period last night was not good.
Right.
Gave up 4 goals in the first period. Was better in the second and third. Didn't give up a goal the rest of the game. And so I think that tonight's game is very telling for them.
Yeah.
I got to imagine that if he has another rough night, nothing changes. But that if he has a really good game, there might be a conversation.
I think we'll know a lot more in a week, right? Because the Flyers have back-to-backs with the Capitals this week, and then next weekend I think it's Minnesota and Montreal,
Correct.
Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
So you would think that Fedotov will get 2 of those games, right? Whether it's Tuesday night here or in Washington. Maybe in Washington, maybe there's a little less pressure on the road. I don't know. And then, to get two winnable games against, I think Minnesota's off to a pretty good start, but Minnesota and Montreal, not exactly Stanley Cup contenders. So you would think he gets one of those games as well. So I think let's reassess where things are. I guess maybe after next weekend. Come a week from Monday, I think we'll have a lot better grip on it.
Something else that I wanted to talk about tonight. Obviously, backup goaltending has been a big talking point about the Flyers. But one of the things that I noticed in those 4 games, Kevin, you were out on the trip, so you got to see it firsthand. Their play at 5-on-5 has not been very good.
No.
Really they've been outscored. I know they scored 3 5-on-5 goals against Seattle, so that was a little bit better. But even then, they didn't look great 5-on-5 defensively. What do you what do you attribute the inconsistency there to?
Well, I think it's 2 things. Part of it was out of their hands because the preseason was a little bit odd. You had played that last game. You never really had against Jersey, where it was all minor leaguers. You never really had that one tune-up, right? Yeah. But on the other hand, I think Tortorella's been screwing with the lines a little bit too much. You've got Matvei Michkov as a right wing throughout training camp, and then all of a sudden he's a left wing on opening night. Says he doesn't look comfortable. Wanted to see him with Travis Konechny, but Konechny's a right wing. He doesn't want to move him around and mess with his game. So there's just no consistency with the lines right now. And again, part of that was not Tortorella's fault or the coaching staff's fault, because and even their first season opener was still something like 9 days after their previous preseason game. So that was probably a little bit tough, flying across the country, all that other stuff. They were dealing with a lot, but at the same time, there's no consistency in the lines. Trying to integrate Luchenko, trying to figure out where he fits, whether he fits here for the season. So it's a lot of things going on, right? I think partially it's not their fault, but part of it is.
And I think if you look at individual players, there's also some issues there. Like I look at a guy like Owen Tippett's got off to kind of a slow start.
Yeah,
he is missing the net with, unbelievably.
He is, yeah. I mean, he's noticeable. You can certainly see the way his legs are moving, and he looks fast. But yeah, you got to start hitting the net.
Yeah, I mean, you can't miss. So many rushes start the other way on shots that are missed.
Yeah,
missing the net entirely, right? And that's cost him a little bit. The one good thing though that kind of came out of the road trip, pleasant surprise, has been the power play. How much of it has been because of Mishkov?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. But even in the preseason, I thought they just were incorporating a lot. You can tell that they're moving around so much more. I mean, they were so stagnant last year. So partially that's Jamie Drysdale. And we talk about 5-on-5 play. Well, he's one guy that's really struggled at 5-on-5. So it's not just all the forwards. We should mention that. But I like what they've seen, or I like what I've seen from the power play for sure. It was another one of those Tortorella quotes that's going to stick in my mind for a little while is when he was saying Rocky was, quote, up my ass about leaving the power play units alone. So that tells you a lot right there, is that, a lot of people from the outside, they want to look at Rocky Thompson. He's overseen the power play for 2 years. 2 years it's been in last place. And of course he deserves some criticism for that. But on the other hand, I think we've gotten enough notifications from Rocky, from Torts, from other players that they were just messing around with it too much. And that's the head coach's decision. And I give him some sympathy for that, because it's a young team. Sometimes you want to reward players with power play time, right? Maybe a guy messes up and you take him off the power play. So I understand that part of it too. But to me, it's obvious that they want to leave, especially the top unit, they want to leave them together for as long as possible to see if they can get some chemistry. And they are getting some chemistry.
One other guy I wanted to ask you about was what's your impression so far of the 3 games played by Jet Luchenko?
Yeah, I think he's a smart player. Everyone talks about his maturity off the ice, and I think he's got a great head on him. I trust the people that have said that, and just from my own interactions with him, I don't think confidence is an issue with him. He's not cocky, but I just think he's a confident guy. But he's also made some mistakes, and I don't think he's the kind of guy that's going to lose sleep over maybe being in the wrong position for one goal. But if it starts happening frequently, then you probably want to pull the plug on this. So we'll see. Now they're going to get some home games. They're back from that long West Coast trip in which they're changing time zones 3 times. So we'll see if he's able to settle in here and do some more. But, the other thing is, too, it's not just defensively. In your own mind, if you're looking at your stat line and you see zeros all across like he has right now, well, that starts to mess with you a little bit too.
Sure.
If he goes 6, 7, 8 games without getting on the score sheet, that's going to affect him.
I'm pretty confident that this will be a short stint for him. I do not see him staying beyond the 9-game point that would burn the first year.
I do think he'll be here for the full 9, don't you?
At first I thought no. At first I thought it was going to be like through the Washington games and then that was it. Now I'm starting to think it might be closer to the 9.
Yeah. He's going to be here for 9. He'll be here for 9. Damn well, listen.
At least 8 or 9.
Yeah. Tortorella's not going to make this into the issue of the year, but he's going to give this kid every opportunity to prove that he belongs, because he's the one who's been pushing for Luchenko to be up here in the first place.
Yeah, he knows they lack speed at that position right now.
And they don't exactly have stellar. It's not like they have somebody else that they can plug into that position. It's not like they have stellar centers up and down, right? Across all lines. They're not trying to force a square peg into a round hole here. I don't see this end up being like a big power struggle at the end. Like I do think like once you get to 9, that's it, because you do have to look at the long-term viability and what actually makes the most sense for the organization. You're not going to burn a year of his deal for the sake of having him up here and then maybe having to send him back. But it's going to be 9. I can't imagine that there was a scenario here where the front office agreed and said, yeah, let's give him a look for 4 games, and if it doesn't work, you send him down. There are no expectations for this team. Like, give the kid the full load.
Maybe. I'm not convinced yet.
It'll be interesting if he plays the 2 back-to-backs, right? Because they held him out of Calgary because it was a back-to-back. Well, now you've got 2 back-to-backs later after.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Speaking about speed or lack thereof. This is, it's again 4 games, but it almost looks like Coots maybe lost a step even from last year.
Yeah, I thought he was okay in the Calgary game, actually. Yeah, I mean that's probably part of the reason why Luchenko is still here, right? There's probably some concerns about that. Yeah. I mean it's notable too that on the 2 power play units, you look at the top 9 right now. There's 1 forward in the top 9 who's not on either of the power play units. It's Sean Couturier.
Yeah.
So that says a lot to me as well.
Only played 9 minutes against Edmonton.
Okay.
And it's not like Edmonton is as fast as they were last year. I mean, they've got, obviously, McDavid's one of the best skaters in hockey.
Yeah, he wasn't out there against McDavid
at
much.
all. Yeah. But Edmonton's a slower team this year than they were a year ago. They had some changes to that lineup after the Stanley Cup run. I'm a little concerned about that he got the least amount of ice time. I know there was a lot of special teams in that game, but that concerned me a little bit. That the coaches look at it and go, we don't trust having him out there against teams with a little bit of speed.
Yeah, and there was a lot of I think it was 11 minor penalties total in that game, right? So I think Luchenko was out there for 5.5 minutes at 5-on-5 against McDavid, and he did a decent job. I didn't think McDavid and Draisaitl, they were loaded up on the same line. I don't think they had a ton of chances before that last goal in the third period.
Right.
And on that goal, it was Bobby Brink who lost his guy. So. Yeah, you wonder how much Couturier plays into the Luchenko decision. It's certainly part of it.
I know Nick Seeler's not in the lineup tonight. A couple people have asked that question, and he's not back in. I was told earlier in the week that there was a real thought that he could get back for the Seattle game. Didn't happen. And him not being in there again tonight now raises a little bit of a red flag that maybe this is your injuries going on longer than the team thought it would. You get the same feeling?
Well, we had the off-day practice in Calgary, and he was out there for at least a half an hour. I remember when I got to the skate, I got there a little early. He was going around. He was going pretty hard too. Yeah. And I had a real quick conversation with him afterwards, not on the record or not recorded or anything. Yeah. But he's just said feeling better, getting better, and but and then he took the morning skate in Edmonton.
Yeah.
Which usually means he's close, right?
Yeah.
So, we didn't have a morning skate today, so who knows?
The man.
Look at this, right?
Dan, right? Hilferty's going to want this jacket.
Everybody wants your jacket.
Yeah.
Such silliness.
Yeah, so, you wonder, too, how much does Jamie Drysdale miss Nick Seeler, right? Because that was a pair that they envisioned together.
Yeah.
And our Drysdale struggles, how much are they related to not having Seeler next to him?
It's interesting. So they played well against Vancouver out there. Obviously, they won the game out there. What do you look at when you see this Canucks team? Are they a little bit different than last year? And how does that bode for this matchup tonight?
Well, the goalie, right? I mean, that's the big one. They're still missing the goalie. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a pretty good game up there. I thought it was even. You never want to read too much into the season opener, right? Because both teams are trying to get their feet a little bit. One advantage the Canucks should have tonight is they've been in the East Coast now for at least 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
I think they played in Tampa. I think they played somewhere else too, right? So they're going to be the ones that are probably adjusted to the time change right now. Whereas the Flyers, the reason they didn't have a morning skate, I think, is pretty obvious. They flew back from Seattle yesterday. That's a hell of a time change.
It's usually the second day that gets you.
Yeah, and I remember when I covered San Jose, I remember having a conversation with Joe Thornton about the time changes, and he would say going west to east was always so much harder than going east to west because I don't know what the reason for that for. I guess you're just losing 3 hours, but because I remember the Sharks would always get smoked on their first game going west to east, and that stuck in my mind. So the Flyers 3 hour time change. I don't know. They could be gassed tonight, but On the other hand, you would hope that adrenaline kicks in for your home opener and you want to put on a good show for the home fans.
Yeah, should be interesting.
It'll be a very interesting game to take in tonight.
Yeah. Well, Kev, listen, we appreciate you hopping on.
Yep, anytime, guys.
You're the best. Thanks. You can always follow Kev at The Athletic. That's where his reporting is. And it's at KKers NHL.
Yep.
Right? On X. So be sure to follow him for all the latest Flyer stuff. Thanks for hopping on with us. And we'll see you at a home game down the line.
Yep, I'll be here.
All right. Kevin Kurz.
Kevin Kurz will be athletic. Just leave it there because Bundy's going to be here at some point.
Yeah, Bundy will be out here in a minute.
We don't need the menu or whatever popping up. All right, let's just have a moment. Because people are very upset right now with something that happened.
What's that?
That is happening on the show. Very upset. And I'm looking for the comment because it's spot on. But here it is. Crack Catnip says, Ant's urine bottle looking mighty dark tonight.
It's peach mango.
Peach mango urine? Why are you peeing so dark? We have free water up here. We apparently have free hot dogs up here.
I put a Crystal Light into the water.
Go get yourself a tubular meat and a bottle of water.
I put Crystal Light in a bottle of water. And it's peach mango, and so that's the color it is.
Yeah, better Crystal Light than Crystal Meth. All right, so I have also noticed that a lot of people are commenting on the fact.
He liked that.
There are also a lot of people noting on the stream today that Cutter Gauthier, I think we touched on this the other day. We might have, we might not have. Cutter Gauthier, of course, Quitter. You can find the merch over at shop.sothegoalie.com, the Quitter Gauthier shirt. So Quitter Gauthier forces his way out of Philadelphia off to Anaheim, where he came into the season with the 4th or 5th best odds of winning the Calder for the Rookie of the Year. No points through 4 games. Got benched not once, but twice.
In the same game.
In the same game the other night. He actually...
What is that?
What was that? Did the video freeze for you too? That was weird. It froze. Your feed froze. What the heck was that? The balloons? Was it that I did the piece and it made the balloons? Whatever.
You know what? You had the little green ghost from Ghostbusters that popped up on your screen there. That was weird. Yeah.
So anyway, Gauthier gets benched twice. He gets benched in the second period. Doesn't play the last 8.5 minutes. Gets taken off the power play. It looks like a mess. Third period, they put him back into the game. He gets back on the power play, makes a bonehead bad back check, ends up getting benched for a good chunk of the third period as well. The coach after the game essentially says, he's young, he'll have to figure it out, I have to trust some of the vets more. How do you think Cutter Gauthier felt in that moment? I don't expect there's remorse about how he left here, but do you think he expected because that's embarrassing. Getting benched once is bad. Getting benched twice is a pretty bad look.
Hey, look, I think these coaches have to handle these young players in a certain way. And, you got to teach them lessons along the way. I mean, yes, they're immensely talented and they're going to be really good players at this level eventually, but they got to learn how to play the game the right way. Mm-hmm. And you got to have a rounded out game. So, hey, listen, if that's what it takes to get the message across, to not make the mistakes that he made to get benched the first time and bench him a second time, well, then that's what you do, right? And, let's be honest about it. I think that there was a play that Luchenko made in the opener that was not a great play, ended up leading to a Canucks goal, and he didn't play the next game. And that's not Tortorella playing mind games with him. I think that's...
Good. Pull the Sub-Zero quote back up. Good. Pull that comment back up. Do I sit when I pee? When I'm pooping, I do. You have to, right? This could be a topic for
Why are we talking about this?
Because Sub-Zero had a very interesting comment.
Why is this even... This all has to do with the pink jacket, right?
No, it has to do with... Well,
I'm going to talk to intern Andrew.
It has to do with poop, which is how Cutter Gauthier played a couple days ago.
I'm not talking to him anymore. I need intern Andrew.
I had this belief that Gauthier is going to score 25 goals this year. I actually thought that Gauthier could outscore Michkov in terms of goals this year. Where do you think Gauthier is going to end the year? I mean, he's going to probably get some top-line minutes.
I think he's probably in the 18 to 20 range.
Wow.
Goals.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's his first year. And I don't think Mishkov's much higher. I think Mishkov's going to be 25 to 27, maybe.
I think people regarded Gauthier's shot and his goal scoring prowess to be a little bit higher than Mishkov's, though. Mishkov, I think, was being seen as more of an overall playmaker.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that thing about Coots playing fourth wing tonight?
I didn't see the line rushes. Obviously, they were taking place behind us. It could well be. I wouldn't surprise me if
you
he's
look
on
it
the
up.
fourth line.
Let's have a conversation about Sean Couturier and John Tortorella. Shall we? Let's shall. If you go back to the episode that we did a few weeks ago where we had Sean Couturier on the show for the first time, you can tell that there is still some residual, not great feelings between the player and the coach. Now, in fairness, he did say, you start with a blank slate. You try to just let last year kind of go. But, these people are human beings. I don't exactly think that Sean Couturier is going to have John Tortorella on his Christmas card list or Hanukkah card list or Kwanzaa or, your assorted holiday in the wintertime. Go ahead.
Here's your lines for tonight.
Go ahead.
Your top line is Morgan Frost centering Owen Tippett on the left and Matvei Mishkov on the right.
Interesting.
Your second line is Lawton centering Konechny and Farabee.
And then I'm guessing Luchenko's probably centering Forster and Brink.
Correct.
And then maybe Couturier is centering...
Paling is centering...
Paling is centering Couturier and Hathaway, maybe?
Yeah, Couturier's fourth line left wing.
Yeah. I did that without even looking at without even typing on the computer.
So...
Sing Chameleon had you beat. Had you beat real good. Couturier playing fourth line wing. What do we make of that?
Well, they're concerned about him, right? They're concerned that the way he's skating right now is not conducive to playing center. And so maybe they got to try him playing him on the wing a little bit, see if that's a good fit, and then maybe he eventually moves back to a third line wing. But
jeez, that's where we're at now.
Well, no, it's also, this is like you were just saying. This is the coach and his captain, right? Making an example of his captain to send a message to everybody else.
Again, man. If this is how this is going to go in the midst of what this season... All right, let's just have a moment. Let's just play this one out. Call me crazy. And you can call me... Look over there. Somebody's taking a picture. You can do a little wave. You can call me crazy, okay? But Couturier getting named captain last year, then getting benched. There was the question about, was it the front office that wanted it, was it the coach? And we've had a bunch of people say it was the coach wanted. And then the coach essentially dog walked the captain and embarrassed him and shamed him and is now putting him on the fourth line 5 games into the season, and it also happens to be the home opener. There is no way to make sense of that. It doesn't matter if Couturier hasn't looked good as a center. Fourth line wing? That's the message we're sending? That's what we're going with. What did you see on the thing? What happened? What did I miss?
That one right.
Looked like Saunders and Jackson had a love child. I'll take it. Listen, Jim's got very strong hair, strong facial hair. Saunders is vertically challenged like me. I'll take it. Bring it back to the hockey point real quick, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
This feels like a message, doesn't it? This doesn't feel like this is what's best for the team. This is what's best for the Philadelphia. This feels like a message.
John Tortorella, everything John Tortorella does is deliberate. It's deliberate. It's intentional. It's designed to be a message. Always. Everything he does. So there's no doubt that this was something that was thought about and discussed and planned. This wasn't a spur of the moment, screw Sean Couturier, I'm not happy with him right now. Yeah. This was well planned out and well thought out, and he feels like that this will have an impact, whether it's in Sean Couturier's game specifically or for the entire team itself together. So there's something to be said for that. And for a lot of last year and even the year before, John Tortorella pushed buttons that worked.
Until he didn't. Until he pushed all the buttons that pissed off the team.
Until he did.
And might have lost the locker room down the stretch.
Yeah.
Which you have to hope he's gotten back to start the season.
So maybe the thought process is, if you do it early in the season, it won't be as catching them off guard and pissing them off as much as he did doing it now. I don't know. I'm not. Far be it from me to trying to get inside that guy's head. Okay, far be it from me.
Is he going to answer your question tonight?
You assume I'm going down there to ask him a question.
You're not going to go down and ask a question?
I was going to send you down there to ask the question.
I'm not going down to ask. I don't need to talk to
I
the
think
guy.
I think you should go down there because of the suit that you're wearing.
No.
It'll be a respect
Nah, he's
thing.
going to be miserable. If this game doesn't go. Maybe he'll send, if he sends Shaw out, I'll go down.
He wasn't available pregame.
Who wasn't?
Torts.
He wasn't available pregame before he put the captain as the fourth line wing.
Yeah.
That's surprising. I wonder what reason there is this time. Maybe it's family came in from out of town again. Has a lot of family that comes in from out of town when he makes decisions like that. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Makes people think, or not. Okay. So Couturier is out on the fourth line. Michkov is getting first line minutes with Frost and Tippett. Fast line, skilled line. Let's talk about Owen Tippett. Tippett was a guy who certainly had some really nice moments last year for this team. It feels like he is finding himself more. It feels like some of the plays that he's making in open ice are of a more confident player. There was an okey-doke kind of move that he had going in and back out, and the shot rang off the post. Do you view Tippett as a guy who is finding more confidence and actually feels like he belongs now with this team and at this level?
I thought he was noticeable in the way he was skating and carrying the puck and creating, but I still think that there's a concern that he can't hit the net. I don't know what the exact numbers are. Maybe somebody has them at their fingertips, but I think it's something like 13 shots on goal on 34 attempts. Like, you missed the net 21 times in 4 games.
It's a rebuild.
That's a lot, man.
A lot, yeah.
Like, that's a lot. You can't do that, right? You got to be more accurate. So there's positives and there's some negatives. So I think that, you just keep playing him and hope that, he gets that shot on goal because he's done some other things really well.
Sure.
I'll tell you a guy that's kind of stood out a little bit for me, and maybe he's not getting a lot of pub so far. I think Bobby Brink's played pretty well.
Okay.
I think he's created he scored the one goal. It was off of a defenseman, but he was trying to make a pass to Luchenko down the middle on that. Oh, you blaming intern Andrew for the mic there?
The mic. We've had all this background noise that shouldn't have been there, and the man's.
I think the crowd likes it. The ambiance of a stadium, right?
Maybe.
Okay. But, the one goal, he was trying to pass to Luchenko, hits off a defenseman, goes in. But he's creating. He had 2 other assists on goals. The one, the tic-tac-toe in the opener that he made the first pass was really nice. And then the pass to Farabee, for Farabee's goal, I think that was against Calgary, was a really great pass as well. I like what I'm seeing a little bit out of Bobby Brink as far as getting, playmaking ability. So...
interrupt your really good hockey point with an anecdotal thing, and it has to do with Philly sports?
Yeah, sure.
So as we can hear in the background, and if not, Andrew, real quick, throw up number 3.
The mic you just turned down?
Yeah. Oh, never mind. No, take it back down. So
Too
as
late.
every player was getting announced, what do they yell?
Sucks.
Did you see the clip of Bill Belichick the other day? So Bill Belichick was on McAfee's show, and he's talking about why it is that the Patriots started running out as a team, in the dynasty mode. And it wasn't just because he decided on a whim that was the thing to do. It's they came to play in Philly, and they were introducing each player individually, and he got so annoyed by the Philly fans yelling "sucks" every time. He's like, we're just not going to do that anymore. We're going to come out as a team.
Yeah.
I thought this actually, Bill Belichick has had some really likable moments in the last few weeks since he's started doing the media circuit. And I know that's usually how this works for those guys. But anyway, I thought that was a fun little anecdote.
One other little note about Coots.
Yeah.
Tonight's his 800th game.
Gee.
In the NHL.
Oh, I didn't know that. You can't expect me to know all those things, Anthony. It's his 800th game. I didn't know that.
Just saying.
800th game. Home opener. Puts him on the 4th line. I thought it would light a fire under him. I can't do it towards. I thought it would light a fire.
I think your original one was good, and then all of a sudden you're thinking about it too much.
Overthinking it.
Overthinking it. Yeah.
But I think is that really the notion here? Is that he's hoping that he's going to motivate the captain by what are we?
Whether it's to motivate the captain or motivate the team because you're doing it to the captain, that might be more of his intent. But
I don't know. It kind of seems like a dick move. Can we say dick move on this show? I think we could say dick move on this show. Right? Richard move? Do we say Richard move?
You said it, not me. So.
Well, Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney. His name was Dick. You could say Dick Cheney.
So when there's a game, on an upcoming game, and you're not here because you've been suspended, everybody will know why.
That's the reason? It's not the jacket? I thought you were going to say the jacket would be the reason.
Well, that's the other reason. That's the second reason.
Anyway.
We got to get to picks.
Well, I have.
And we don't have Bundy's
We don't have
yet.
Bundy. Can you text him really quick? I have a qualm with the people out there. All last season, I was inundated with many comments of people saying, turn the intro down. Turn the intro down. This morning, you know what I did, Andrew? I fixed the video and I turned the intro down. You know how many comments I saw thanking me for turning down the intro? 0. Ungrateful. It's not that hard to text him. What are you doing?
I did. He was texting me the lines.
Okay.
So he's obviously fired up about this too.
Hit me up with your prediction. Flyers, Canucks.
I think this is one of the tougher games to pick because part of me thinks that, your home opener, you're going to be fired up to play in front of the fans. This is going to be an electric atmosphere for Mishkov's first game. So part of me wants to go, the Flyers are going to come out here and just be rolling. But part of me also is I'm glad Kevin Kerr's brought it up, is that the Canucks have been here and the Flyers just flew back from across the country.
Yeah.
And so part of me wants to think that this is going to be a tougher game. I'm going to pick the Flyers, but I think it's a really tight, really close game. And I'm gonna go 3-2 Flyers.
That was my prediction.
Yeah.
That was legitimately my prediction. Now do I flip it? Now, Sam Harrison's going to play well. Mishkov's first game at home. Wouldn't it be nice to see how cool would it be for Mishkov to get a point in his first game, and especially if he gets like a little power play goal, a little PPG. So you and I have the same score, 3-2 Flyers.
What do you got over there, intern? Welcome back to the program, intern Andrew.
Well, thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
We can see you right now because we don't have your camera on.
No, that's all right. I will take the Flyers to win 5-4.
Wow, you got a high scoring game.
5-4 Flyers.
The Flyers just can't keep the puck out of the net, but they've been scoring.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
Wow. Did Bundy send his pick yet? Because we're getting very close.
No, he hasn't sent it yet. But fourth host Nancy did.
What was her prediction? I didn't see it.
5-3 Flyers.
Wow, good for her.
Fourth host Nancy. How about that?
I bet she already got 2 kids down for bedtime and is letting the other 2 stay up to watch at least a period of the game.
That's good parenting right there.
That's great parenting. She's the best mom I know.
Yeah, she's the best.
She's the very best.
Yeah, I got nothing yet from Bundy. Who is, by the way, so this, just so everybody knows, the studio is done.
It is. That is true.
The studio is up and running. Bundy is in there right now with pregame radio.
He's in there.
Yeah, he's in there with
Can we go take it over? Can we
Jason
pull an
Martinez
NWO? Can I
and
power
Brian
Martinez
Smith
through the table?
So if you watch their stream on YouTube, you can see the new studio, what it looks like.
You know what? Maybe we should hold on. Can we hijack their stream?
You should pull that up.
I might be able to. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd be kind of neat if you could pull up their stream.
I don't know if I want to, though.
But we're going to be doing our show from in there.
The regular show.
Regular show, not the press row. Press row show, we will still be out here.
That's right.
On the upper level concourse.
Correct.
Just outside the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook. They renamed everything up here, by the way. Like everything's got a new sponsorship.
Still the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook.
That's the only one that we're keeping the same. But I know everything else has kind of changed. But I know he's in there. And he should be out, but it's literally like right here. It's literally right across from us.
I'll pull it up. I'll share it. I'm not gonna.
The studio.
We're not gonna put them over in a big way, but we'll show everybody what it looks like. Bundy has a new fresh haircut.
Yes, he does.
He looks
young.
Good.
He looks young. Bundy.
Are you saying he usually looks old?
Well, he looks his age normally, and now he's looking young. He's making me feel bad.
That makes you feel bad? That's the.
Well, he's older than me. He's older than me, and he looks young.
All right, here, I got it.
You got it? Pull it up.
Yeah, we're going to show everybody what the new studio looks like. This is we should actually do a crossover with those guys. I'm sure we wouldn't be allowed to because they have like the radio or whatever.
Yeah.
It would be kind of funny to bring those guys.
Yeah, that's all right. I think we can. I don't think they would mind the promotion here.
All right, here we go. So we are the number 1 pregame, intermission, and postgame show. Here is the number 2, number 3 postgame show, pregame show. So that's what the studio looks like on the inside. So there you can see Bundy. We share joint custody of Bundy here on the Press Row Show. He's over there. Now look, does Bundy look as happy with those guys as he does with us?
He sent a pic.
What did he send? Oh, there he is. Anyway.
4-2 Vancouver.
Wow.
4-2 Vancouver is Bundy's
Not
pick.
believing in the fly guys at home.
4-2. I don't blame him. Like I literally, this was the hardest one of the first 5 games for me to come up with a pick for, because I think that part of me thinks that they're going to come out play well, and part of me thinks that they're going to be dragging their rear ends. So I think this is a tough one. I don't begrudge Bundy making that pick.
It's going to be interesting to see how the team reacts. I know that sometimes people think that we overreact on the Torts and Couturier front, but 800th game, home opener, 4th line, it's bold. Now, will it pay off? Like, do you think that it's going to be
bold
something?
Strategy, God.
Let's see if it pays off for it. I mean, just in theory, though, like if you let this one, if you kind of play this out in your mind, do you think that it's going to work? Like, are we going to see a motivated Sean Couturier on the 4th line, and then by like the second period, he's back up as the 1C or as a 2C? Like, what do you think is going to happen there?
No, not in this game.
All right.
No, he doesn't do that. I mean, he may. The only way he does that is if they play really poor over the first 2 periods, and he just is like and he wants to send a message to other guys who maybe weren't playing well, and maybe he throws Coots up there to be all right. Now it's your turn. Go play. I think they just introduced Mishkov.
I don't know, but they have the camera on Torts.
No. They're introducing all the players, all the coaches and the players.
They're Sealers. Sealers in a suit, not a pink blazer.
But any of the other players got pink blazers on tonight?
And not a lot of them can pull this one off. Just saying.
I forgot about this tonight, by the way.
Yeah, it's long.
The player introductions. So not only did you make us come on early.
Hey,
today,
here's a question.
Because it's like, it's the opener. Let's do an extra 15 minutes. But then we forgot about this team introduction thing, which is going to drag it out another 10 minutes.
That's fine.
So we end up doing like a whole hour pregame show.
So
we end up vamping.
There's a reason we're the #1 rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show. Now, let me ask you something really quick.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that we see Ryan Ellis introduced in a pregame?
No. He's not here.
Will we see Ryan Johansson introduced? No? Okay.
No.
Any updates on that, by the way? We know that they terminated his contract. He wanted to appeal. I haven't heard of him nor Haw.
No, I think the Flyers will win that. I think that they'll settle.
You think they're going to settle?
There'll be an insurance settlement.
Okay.
Of some sort there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Like it will never see an arbitration.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't think that'll happen.
Interesting. As these guys are getting introduced, there's a guy that we didn't really talk much about, I don't think. We talked about a guy that he was traded for. We didn't really talk much about Jamie Drysdale, to my knowledge. And you know what?
He's here!
What's up, Light 3 under window breaks?
What's up, pal?
Bundy,
how you doing, guys?
Good.
We were just having a conversation. We're just transitioning into Jamie Drysdale.
Yep.
And about how he's played so far this year. Picked up a power play goal.
Yep.
Looking pretty confident on the power play, but what have you seen from him so far through 4 games?
Well, getting shots through has been really kind of one of the big things. And, you saw both York and Drysdale getting shots through that one game where they scored. It made a difference. So he has to do that. I mean, he's looked good on there. The Flyers' power play has been very, very good to start the year. It's contributing. It looks like it's poised to do well. Mishkov's added to that. But make no mistake about it, I always believe the best kind of power play is the one where you can be active and have defensemen that get shots through. So kudos to him. And that's going to have to continue for them to keep having a good power play, the one they've had.
But 5-on-5.
5-on-5 is a different story.
Not been good.
No, nothing's been good 5-on-5 where I'm at. I mean, if you look at the game in Seattle the other night, things were going good for a while. Then they just got taken apart late in that second period. This is the one thing, guys. And I was just doing Flyer pregame radio.
We saw it. We actually pulled you guys up on the screen
just to show everybody the new studio.
You like the new studio?
I like it. It's nicely done. It's not like this. Like, I like hearing the noise and I like saying hi to the people. There's none of that. So it's less impersonal.
Yeah.
But it's very nice. It's a nice little. That used to be the Rage Room.
Yes, that was
Valerie's Rage Room. Yeah.
If Couturier needs to come up here after playing 4th line today,
did you see that left wing? That is absolutely breathtakingly stunning to put a Couturier fourth line left wing. I've never seen him play a left wing in his life.
In his 800th game.
800th game.
And home opener.
And a home opener. Team captain.
Yeah, there's something odd going on there, guys. I mean, I don't have to be a rocket scientist. Wow. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Now, listen, there's a couple reasons. Perhaps I'm going to make a couple of good excuses as to why.
Okay.
All right. Lawton had a good game, so they move him to center off the wing. That's fine. And then Lachenko is the other reason. Those two reasons, but. Why is it Coots the guy? Like, why couldn't he just be the fourth line center then?
Yeah, why are you putting him on the wing?
Why are you putting him on the wing? Why don't you put Failing on the wing?
Yeah.
Believe me, it's a message. I mean, there's no way anybody this early in the year is not going to see that as anything but a sign. There's no. I've been around too long. I've seen too many ways coaches have communicated to players. This one's pretty obvious.
Yep. And the last question, Bundy, before we're getting close to the anthem, I want your take in his. In 50 words or less, your take on Russ's jacket tonight.
Yeah, I appreciate the professionalism. I don't know why you'd wear that color. Like, if you're gonna dress like a jackass, why don't you put on like an orange and black jacket with like a nice black T-shirt?
I don't have one.
Well, then we're gonna get you one.
I need one.
You look like an Easter bunny.
You know what?
With a tie on and wore his
loves
jacket.
the Easter bunny.
Why don't you put an Easter ears on there for him?
You know what? Maybe I will. Easter bunny brings
Why don't you
chocolate.
bring a little chickie around with you too? There's some little yellow duck.
That's what he is.
Oh,
Intern Andrew is supposed to be dressed up as the cute little rubber duck.
See what everybody missed all you summer, Russ?
Yep, exactly right. You don't get this anywhere else.
I think you look good, okay? Listen, I love you. I don't want to be
Your
mean,
mic's off.
okay?
What?
Your mic's not on.
Whose mic is on?
Yeah, you're low, I guess.
Well, there's a guy on the soundboard over
You're
there.
you are more of an Easter theme than
I
you
think
are
they might
opening
be
night Halloween.
I'm pretty sure your mic is on. My mic is definitely on.
It's on. I can hear him, but I think it's low.
Anyway.
What do you think of it, Ant?
I couldn't take him seriously the first 6-7 minutes of the show. I was just sitting here laughing at him.
I appreciate the look, though, Russ. I'm going to say that.
You know what? You have to go for it one of these days. What people can't see is the fresh cut that you're rocking.
Yeah, you got
a nice fresh
ears
cut.
lowered, man. Looking good.
Yeah, you got it all trimmed up there.
Yeah,
Feeling
it's good.
Looking good. Yeah.
Looking good. Yeah. Good stuff. Good
And
stuff.
meanwhile, I'm glad that he's letting the 7 hairs grow out up here.
Ant looks good.
Look.
Ant looks good.
Thanks, guys. It's quiet. I think it's time for the anthem.
Oh, snap.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see you guys.
That is the
run.
first pregame of the season. Bundy is already out. We'll be back. First intermission, second intermission, and postgame. Keep it here on Snow the Goalies, YouTube channel, X, Facebook. Intern Andrew will have the StatCast up during the period. Don't leave the stream. Just hang out. Have a blast. And we'll see you as soon as the horn sounds here in person at Wells Fargo Center. Big thank you to everybody. We'll talk to all of you very, very soon. Welcome back into the Press Row Show. Here we are in the first intermission of the first home game of the season. Flyers are losing 1-0.
They're lucky it's not more than that.
I was going to say, it's not as the scoreboard would otherwise indicate. Flyers were outshot heavily early on in that period. Really didn't look all that dangerous. They had a couple of brief moments, but this has mostly been a Vancouver first period. Sam Ersson really keeping the boys in this game to some extent.
He even hasn't had to make very many big saves. He made a couple nice saves. I mean, I know you made 14 saves in the period. That's pretty good. But a lot of those chances weren't like high danger chances for Vancouver.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the Canucks have controlled the play. The play's been in the Flyers' end almost the entire time. They really, Bundy, they can't make a pass to get out of their zone.
Yeah, it's been, and again, this is what I hope didn't happen, but it did. They got back from really like a Pacific Coast trip, and they didn't have a lot of rest. They didn't have the 2 days, which would have made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
But that's not the hand of cards that they were dealt. So they're going to have to figure this out. Vancouver's been on Eastern time for a while. They're not feeling any of the repercussions of the West Coast that they are traditionally used to playing on. So they're just playing hockey tonight. They probably have a little bit of revenge in mind closely after 8 days.
Yep.
And the Flyers are reeling. And they're, to be quite honest with you, they're really having a hard time getting pucks out of their zone. And 5-on-5 play has been non-existent.
Completely non-existent. And it's troubling. And I mean, you know,
it's part of an actual large, I think like a macro view thing that we came into this game worried about. Was there 5-on-5 play?
Yeah,
in those first 4 games.
Well, we asked about it. You know, we talked with Kevin Kurz about it pregame, and you know, it's certainly a concern. I have a problem with the goal. Like, I went back and watched the replay of the goal. First of all, they're running around in their zone for a while there, right? They can't get the puck out. But then it was when I tell you it was a complete and utter breakdown. I can't wait till you guys watch the replay.
Yeah.
A complete and utter breakdown by 4 of the 5 players.
Yeah, no net
on the ice.
No net front coverage.
Yeah,
2 defensemen were out of place.
Yeah, well, I think Eric Johnson was in an okay spot.
He was the only one.
Yeah, he was in the side of the net.
Right.
The puck's behind the net. He's in the side. Okay, fine. But Drysdale gets out of position. Konechny is lost up at the top. Farabee's skating in the middle of the zone with nobody near him. He's not marking a man. He's just kind of drifting. Like, it was just awful. I mean, of course it's going to be an easy goal when you allow that much time and space.
That was as big a tap-in as you're going to find in the NHL. And it was too much of a breakdown. And when that happens, a breakdown like that, a lot of things happen. And the first being is the communication. The line of communication had completely broken down, and that's exactly what happened. When you find a guy with a tap-in, there's a missed responsibility, usually 2.
Yeah.
And as a result, the Flyers are down 1-0 because of that broken play.
Holy cow, was it an ugly play? And it, you know, that's the only goal that goes in. But man, I mean, they were being outshot with, I think, 9 minutes to go in the period, 10-1.
Yep.
And the one shot wasn't even a real shot. It was like a dump in that went on goal.
Yes.
Like, it was unreal.
Yeah, it was every bit as bad as I said. And I know I don't like making excuses because you're not allowed to make them as a player.
Right.
But this is one of those games where they may be better in the second period because it can't be any worse than they were in the first.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were skating in quicksand period. And I'm telling you, I've been in these situations before, guys. It takes a little while to get going. But they better do it quick. It easily could be 2-0 Vancouver, and that changes a little bit of the look of the game. It's only 1-0. They get 1 goal. They're right back in this, baby.
What can they do? Like, what if you were Tortorella right now and you're going into that locker room, you're telling the guys, wipe that period away, come out with a fresh set of eyes in the second period. What's the one thing that you're telling these guys, you've got to fix this? Like, improve upon this. What's the one thing?
Well, they're trying to make plays that aren't there. So I think the best thing to do is the only way to work through a game that's like this is to put the work boots on. As hard as that is, chip and chase is going to be key because you want to. The one thing that Vancouver defense had that period, they could have played it in a rocking chair. They never got hit. They were able to break the puck out with ease. So if I'm the Flyers, I simplify things by actually forcing the players to have to play a harder working type of style. And maybe by that chance, they'll get their legs under them. But I would stop forcing stuff, especially in the neutral zone. Far too many trick plays, like plays are trying to go back and Vancouver's picking them off. The Flyers just need to simplify things, play as a 5-man unit. And when you get the power play, the point shots available, they have not elected to take it.
Yeah,
yet.
they keep, the one thing I will notice with the 2 power plays is I think they've become a little predictable tonight, just for tonight. Not saying, obviously, first 4 games they were pretty good. But they keep trying to feed Mishkov.
Yeah.
Like they're trying, and I'm not sure he's a guy you want to, obviously you want him to shoot the puck, of course. But you got to get him open, right? So they're getting him the puck, and then there's a man on him, and he's got to give it up right away. And nobody else is trying to take those shots on the power play. Like, I don't mind cycling it around and look for an open shot, try and get him the open shot if possible. But you got to have a little bit better movement, a little bit more passing the puck there around, and it's automatically like set up, get it over to Mishkov and hope he does something with it.
Yeah, and you can't make hope force. You can't start getting in your mind that you have an opportunity that may be different than what presents itself to you, and you can't force a guy and force the puck to him because you're going to end up turning pucks over. He's got to figure out his own pattern right now, and I'm not that specialty guy that plays on the half boards in a power play, but I know how you defend them, and you've got to get out and make sure that he doesn't have time and space. But right now, he's doesn't have any time or space because he really hasn't had the puck. And when they're trying to get him the puck, Vancouver's done a good job of eliminating him.
I'm going to make a comparison here, Bundy, that I feel like is kind of apt now, especially the way that Ant just framed that. The last time that this team had a player that had the kind of skill, or at least the perceived skill that Mishkov does, was probably Giroux. And one of the things that we used to talk about, especially when we first started doing the show together and Giroux was here, is you would talk about how a lot of times guys just deferred to him. Even when he moved on to Florida, when he moved on to Ottawa, there's always been this thing with Giroux where teammates try to defer to give it to him to set up a play. Are the Flyers starting to fall into a really bad habit? I know that a lot of these guys didn't play with him, but is it the idea that you're trying to force it to Mishkov because he is the most skilled guy on the ice on your team? Or do you think that there's something about, like, they just want to get this kid set up for success and they're trying to figure out ways to feed it to him?
Well, and there's ways to feed a guy that's not forcing the issue, or you're trying to, like, float pucks across the seam where guys are going to knock down pucks. I mean, if there's a half board, you got to let him use his creativity as well. But again, he's more of a shooter, I see him as. Obviously, the guy has some playmaking skills. We've only seen him for 4.5 games, right? 4 games in a period, really, when you boil it all down. And so I think from that standpoint, we have to have some patience with him, but he's also trying to figure out what he's good at in this league himself. And I don't really know if he really understands that yet.
Another thing is we really haven't talked about the defense in and of itself.
There's a defense on this team.
Bundy and I are sitting here and watching these games, and we're watching these players. And I can't tell you, we at one point we criticized Risto. At one point we criticized Zamula. At one point we criticized Drysdale. It was just, throughout the period we were finding mistake after mistake after mistake from the guys on the back end. And that's a big concern too.
And we were just talking too about it. Like, playing defense in this league, if you simplify it, it's not hard to play. But when you try to do too much, you can mess it right up. Look at the concerned fan.
He doesn't want to be known as the concerned fan.
He sure he looks concerned tonight.
I saw him. He texted me the other night, and he said, I've got to let you know, Bundy, I've changed back to the concerned fan.
Yeah, he's concerned.
He's, of course, super fan Eric. We might see him in the second period for a moment with the concerned fan.
He looks legitimately, we saw him, a week ago when we were down here doing the
looks
round table.
Looks a little Dahmerish right now.
He called you Dahmer.
It's an angry man. All right, we love you. You know that, right? We'll see you next period.
It's a little bit of a delay. It's a little bit of a delay.
So
he's listening to us right now.
Oh, he is. Okay.
But it's like a 10-second delay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait till he hears you call him
He's not happy.
I said Dahmerish.
Dahmerish. He's Dahmer adjacent. He's not really Dahmer. He's in the orbit.
Real quick, just so we'll get back to talking about the Flyers, but
do we have to?
Well, we will. But we have two. We have a lot of regular fans who are in here that we love that come into our show all the time, and I just wanted to make two I wanted to point out for today. First of all, our buddy Daryl Brandel, who's up in Manitoba or Saskatchewan. Where's he at?
I think he's in
Manitoba.
I think he's in Saskatchewan.
Well, one of the two.
In Canada, we call them both the same.
Both the same. Middle of Canada somewhere.
Canada. He's up there.
His dad turned 100 years old today.
Are you serious?
So, Mr. Brandel,
100.
Happy 100th birthday.
100th birthday.
God bless you. My
100
God.
years old today, which I think is pretty cool.
Wow.
And then the second one is Brandon Ficcaria, who's in here all the time. Apparently, his wife, Andy, is watching her first press row show.
Really?
Right now, watching the press row show.
You know what?
Hi, Andy.
Good on.
Welcome to the show.
And hopefully, Andy, you never stop watching the press row
That's
show.
right. It's the number one rated pregame, intermission, postgame show.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Absolutely.
We're not the ones who say it. There are other people who say it. Many people tell us that. They say it's the greatest. Anyway, there have been a lot of comments going on over here on the side. And, well, here you go. So Greg says the introduction of Jamie Drysdale ruined the defense. Drysdale seems to be, we talked about him a little bit pregame, about how it's kind of like Jamie Drysdale giveth and he taketh away. He giveth on the power play, but at 5-on-5, he leaves a lot to be desired. Bundy, is it something where like we maybe are holding him a little bit too high of a standard because he missed such a significant portion of last season? In fact, he's missed significant portions of the last two seasons.
He's been an injured hockey player for a lot of his career, right, since he came in. And he had a great start to his career. But he's a guy, this is, again, and I say this with positivity. There's guys that have started their career earlier than they ever should have started.
Yeah.
And it takes time, even after being in the league, where you have to take a guy, break down where he's at, and then build him back up again. And I honest to God really feel that that's what they need to do with him. Power play, he's made some good plays, gets a shot through. But even strength play, you've got to get him to a point where you feel completely comfortable having him out there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the case. Again, some people would have a different view of Ghost. I don't want Jamie Drysdale to be a power play specialist. I think there has to be way more there.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I want to throw one more at you, Bundy. And it's crazy to say this, right?
Uh-oh.
Because the guy I'm about to ask you about is probably no better, really, than a low-end second pair, high-end third pair defenseman. But how much does this team miss Nick Seeler right now?
It does. You're absolutely right,
Right?
Anthony. Yeah, I mean, just a guy that – so you want to talk about simple, right? We don't really talk about Seeler because he just keeps things simple. He plays hard. He's competitive. He moves the puck when he can.
Yeah.
But he doesn't try to do anything that he's not capable of doing. He knows exactly who he is, and they do miss him. There's no doubt about it.
And that's an important thing. That's something that you just said, and I think that's sometimes when you have a young team, that's the hardest thing to figure out, knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about this with Travis Sanheim. Like,
Yes.
Does Travis Sanheim really know who he is right now?
After 501 games, no. I still think there's – I like Travis Sanheim.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. I think he's got a ton of remarkable upside. But when I watch him in the game, he's up the ice. He's back. He's not 1,000% sure of his job in the D zone.
Yeah.
And he's not 1,000% sure of his job in the O zone. So if I'm a coach, and I'm not, I'm picking something that he does well, and I make him excel at that.
Yeah.
And I build it right into his head that this is what you do. Then you come out of every night feeling great about yourself where you're not minus 30 at the end of the year and saying, what happened? You can get 40 points in a season, which is great, but you can't give up 40 goals back on the other end of it or more than that.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I understand that we have a segment
Oh, snap.
for the intern.
Now, the intern's in a tricky spot. I have to help him with his camera so he can turn his camera on. Because right now, he's just going to be a disembodied voice. So I'm going to hop off. I'm going to go help him really quick.
Go ahead. What are you doing? He's going to do some tech stuff because,
Secret Service
he's,
stuff, right?
He's the master of the technology.
It's very Secret Service.
Very secret, yeah. To make sure that we get you on camera there, intern. So I'm not sure exactly how he's going to do this. But am I supposed to just continue to to vamp here until you get that camera up? What's going on here, Russ? Oh, there he is. There. Oh, look at that with the merch over your shoulder too. I'm sure the Flyers will love that.
Looking good.
I didn't know
Looking
you
good.
could do that, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a magic guy. I know a few things about a few things.
So, well, do you want to just full disclosure, just say what happened? You like literally like 10 minutes ago, you were like,
What are you doing?
Here we go.
What are you doing, Russ? Oh, there you
No, it makes more sense. Now it's like a 4-man panel.
go. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
There, see?
Yeah, you just got to be more centered.
Just trying to
Okay.
produce the show.
Go ahead, Andrew. What do you got?
well, you told me like 10 minutes ago, do you want to do an interesting stat?
Yeah, we threw something
And
at you
I
last
was
minute.
like, okay, what is it? Like, I thought you had something. You're like, no, just come up with a stat.
Yeah,
So I was like,
we'll give it a
all right.
shot, see how it works, and What are you doing, Russ?
Well, I don't
I
like
keep
that.
looking at Anthony's water bottle. It just caught my eye.
Yeah, he's had some hydration issues.
Anyway, go ahead,
If we're
Andrew.
being honest, the most interesting stat so far is that Russ housed 2 hot dogs in under 3 minutes. during
Yes,
that
he
period.
did. He ate 2 tubular meats.
Oh, come on. That's not hard. In 3 minutes?
With the deli mustard, it's fantastic.
And didn't spill. on
After
that
watching those hot dog eater professionals at Chest, that guy's an absolute animal.
I know.
2 in 3 minutes is nothing.
That's what I said.
suit. Well, I don't think he's human. John.
But how many times will Russ now go to the bathroom between now and the time we walk out of the building at the end of the night?
That would be an interesting stat.
Yeah, that's an
See,
interesting
now
thing. Yeah.
we're thinking outside the box.
Correct.
Okay, so I stole this from the Jumbotron. They put it up there in pregame, but you want a stat and I'll give it to you. And I don't know that you guys saw it. This is the 6th time in franchise history that the Flyers home opener is against Vancouver.
Yeah.
And 2nd year in a row.
I'm curious if they've ever, prior to this year, had the season opener on the road and then the home opener against the same team, or vice versa. Had the home opener first and then the first road game against the same team.
I'm thinking San Jose comes to mind, maybe. A few years ago, I remember we did a home game in San Jose, and I remember we played them the next week, so that might have been close.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
Check on
yeah,
that.
but yeah, that's an interesting stat.
4 different goalies between those 2 games, by the way. There was Carter Hart and Thatcher Demko last year.
Redacted.
Well, what, are we not going to say his name?
Redacted.
Say his name.
Or that's Russ.
Hashtag say his name. And then this year, Kevin Lankinen versus Sam Ersson. Now, worth noting that the Flyers were winning 1-0 at the end of the first period in that game. They're now down 1-0.
What was the final score of that game?
It was 2-0.
It was a shutout, huh? Erson had a shutout?
No.
Oh, it was Carter Hart. That's right.
Well, let's
Redacted.
Lord Voldemort. Worth noting, though, Sean Couturier scored his first goal in 22 months in that game. So
Will he score his first goal as a fourth liner in
Fourth line left
Left
wing.
winger.
fourth line left wing? Bundy, how would you assess his performance there on the fourth line?
I
as
played
left wing?
4th line left wing once.
No, you didn't.
I swear to God. You want to hear the story?
In the NHL? How did
This
it go?
is the most unbelievable story. So I'm injured. I get a Charlie horse. And Wayne Cashman was the head coach. Keith Acton and Dave Brown were the assistants. I was ready to come back and play. And I was already an established player. And Cash says, well, I'm not ready to have him back yet, but we're going to get him in the lineup. We're going to play. So I played with Dan Kordick and Dan Lacroix. And I'm sitting there saying to myself,
The Dan line.
what in the wide world of sports is going on here?
How did that go, Bundy?
It was just, I played 4th line minutes. I was a top 4 defenseman. And I remember the coach looked at Cash. He goes, what are you doing? It was Keith Hackett. Like, what are we doing here? Let's make the switch. It's okay. But he wanted to get me in, but he didn't want to put me in my natural position because he didn't want to take the other guy out that filled in during my injury.
Do you know who that was? You
I
remember who that
don't.
was?
I
Okay.
could find out, though. I'll find out.
I'm just curious, like if somebody was playing well and you just wanted to keep them in. Isn't that nice?
And on that bombshell, it's
We're
time
back.
for us
Yeah.
to end. We'll be back during the second intermission and post game here on the Snow the Goalie channel, here on the Press Row Show. Talk to you very soon. Well, if you were looking for good Flyers hockey tonight, I have good news. There are good games somewhere on YouTube, I'm guessing. The bad news is the good Flyers hockey has not reared its head tonight. Despite the fact that the Flyers are within, what, is it 9? Is it 28 to 19 shots on goal?
And they had the last
game?
5. They were down 28-14 at one point.
It doesn't even look remotely close. At this point, Vancouver looks like a cup contender compared to how they're playing against the Flyers right now. The Flyers are getting bag skated. They're getting dog walked. It's not a pretty game. And in that period, 2 goals within the course of, what was it, Bundy, 32 seconds less of actual game time between the second goal and then the third off that faceoff.
That was just a play there where you have to tie up the offensive player.
Joel
Farabee on the play. And,
Yep.
and again, that's just simple hockey. That's a part of the game that's not sexy,
Yep.
and it never goes unnoticed or never goes noticed unless you muff it up. And he didn't get. All you got to do is tie the guy's stick up. Just be aware. That's your responsibility in that situation, is to lock the puck up, prevent the shot, and if it's a loose puck to you and him, you want to try to chip it back to your defenseman into the corner, not by the net, into the corner, so they have a chance to get the breakout started.
I want to actually make sure that we make the second period second intermission a little bit more interactive. Greg G says, guys, I know I'm overreacting, but that Tippett Mishkov 2-on-1 rush told me a lot. That, of course, Tippett goes. He has Mishkov. It's a 2-on-1. Wide open passing lane there to Mishkov. Instead, Tippett rips a shot. It doesn't go anywhere near the net. Another wide miss on goal, Ant. And you immediately said, oh, Tippett couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And he had an odd man rush in the first period where I thought he should have taken the shot and tried to make the pass. And this time, he should have made the pass and he tried to take the shot. But he was close enough to get it on goal and just flat out missed. Like, you can't have that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's hockey sense, right, Bundy?
That's exactly it. Same thing with that play with the Farabee. Just having a little bit of hockey sense to know that you're not gonna score there, but they can.
Right.
And it's the same thing with Tippett too. Just having that little bit of an understanding, that feel. I always call it like you get a pit in your belly, even when you're in a situation to score. What you're going to do with the puck, different for him. He's more formidable at it than a defensive defenseman ever was. But he needs to hit the net, because again, those are just takeaway plays that you have to that you can't lose at the end of the game. And there's been just far too many of them.
Fewest shifts and shortest amount of time on ice tonight for the Flyers. Who do you think it is?
I'm going to actually say it's Luchenko.
It is.
Okay.
12 shifts, 6:59 of ice time through 2 periods.
Yeah. Well, there's one shift he had on a power play, and he turned it over twice entering the zone. And I think after that, Torts, I could tell some frustration because the Flyers were kind of on their heels, and they were trying to get some offense going. Listen, again, he's just a pup.
Yeah.
He's a pup.
Yeah.
I don't. Yep. There's nothing in this game here at all that's on Jet Luchenko. Nothing. Zero.
No, but I just thought it was worth pointing out.
Yep.
He juggled the lines again, put Couturier back at center, and Luchenko was the one who suffered for it. He actually got less ice time.
Let's feed into a narrative now. Stephen K asks over on YouTube, it's still too early, but do you think they're quitting on Torts? Looks like the end of the year. I think it's very early to make that kind of a leap. But is there a possibility that after how last season ended, it did look like they started to tune him out a little bit last year?
No, it's too soon to say. I look at it and I think that they actually played okay in the 4 games on the road. This is by far their worst game of the 5.
Yeah.
So, even though that they lost 3 of those 4, they did get 1 in overtime, right? So they get a point. So no, I don't think it's a complete tune-out kind of thing. This is just a bad game. This is the worst game of the 5. If this continues, then we can have that conversation. But I think it's a little too soon.
You got to get me through the 15 game mark before I start making any prediction. Could there be a bad taste left from last year? There could be, but I'm not ready to say that. I don't know. He's got there's a chemistry issue right now. There's a 100% chemistry issue between the players. And what he's trying to do, Torts likes to set two guys, right? Two guys on each line as a pair. And then he works in that third guy as to whoever he thinks that's going to bring the best chemistry. The problem is right now I don't think they know who they are. I think they have an idea of what they'd like, but it's not working right now. So they're going to have to keep throwing a lot of curveballs in there. And they're doing that tonight, right, Anthony, with the juggling of the lines again. It's probably too much. But I will tell you what Torts is doing. He's trying to find the guys that have the best legs and shorten the bench. It's really, really hard to do it on a night like tonight. They have 2 days off again after this before a home with the Capitals. But they were much better the last 7 minutes of that second period. We'll see if they can carry any kind of momentum into the third here. But if you're Vancouver, I think if I'm Rick Talkin, I'm telling them, go after the game a little bit more. This is a very, very fatigued Flyers team, and they have been since the drop of the puck tonight.
On pregame, before you came over, Kevin Kurtz was saying that Rocky Thompson has been pretty adamant to Tortorella about leave the units alone, like leave the power play units alone. Don't tinker with them. Let them build some chemistry. Let them figure it out. And it seems like for the most part, Torts has left things mostly alone. But at 5-on-5, he's juggling these lineups. You're talking about, him liking to play pairs of guys and work in that third. Is there anything to be said for the fact that it's still a very young team and that juggling the lines as much as he does prevents them from building chemistry with one another?
If you look at tonight's start, the lineup that he had, forget the fourth line and the third and fourth line, right? Because I think the Coots left wing thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So take the top line tonight as it looked. It started off with Tippett, Frost, and Mishkov. Ideally, that would be a great line.
Yeah.
That's what you
really
want.
Good number 2 line.
That looks like a good, like when you look on paper, right? And I'm going to say something about when you look at guys on paper sometimes. That line can kind of scare you when you look at it. But it didn't do anything to scare you when the ice starts, when the actual play starts. That happens a lot, where you're like, oh, man, look at that. We got to be aware of Mishkov because we don't know a lot about him, but he's a sniper from the outside. He makes plays around the net. Tippett, big skater. He hasn't scored lately. Got to be aware of it. Frost, creative. He can make plays. But nothing's clicking. Nothing's clicking. And I'm saying optimistically that's what you ideally want to see, but it's not working right now.
Ant? Anything that stands out to you?
I mean, it's just it's a bad game. Like, it's a really bad game all the way around. I don't like the way they're playing defensively. The second goal was again a breakdown in their end. Like, It's an easy tap in. I'm not sure who you're going to point the finger at there. Like, Risto's pushing a guy out of the way, but he pushes him into his other defenseman, so it kind of opens up that spot on the doorstep, and none of the forwards can get there. Like, Mishkov was there, he couldn't get there.
Day late, the dollar short tonight. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, and it's just like, so I don't necessarily know if that's a bad play or just an unfortunate circumstance kind of situation. But then Farabee has to be on his man. I mean, that's why do you line up right next to the guy on the faceoff? To tie up the guy that you're lined up
in a worst-case scenario.
Yep.
Right?
And the worst-case scenario happened. The puck landed right there on the right-handed shot winger playing the left side.
Yeah.
That's set up for a one-timer. All your job is to lift the stick. There's no play. That's it.
No play.
It's that simple.
And he didn't do it.
Do we want to bring in the concerned fan?
Hey, you can. Bring him in.
Come on in, concerned fan. Come on in. Come and say hi to us really
Concerned fan making his first
debut.
appearance of the season. Let's see how he's feeling tonight. Concerned fan, welcome to a new season, a new era of Orange. How you feeling?
You mean it started already?
How concerned are you tonight, concerned fan?
I'm very concerned, but on the other, I know they traveled from Western Canada. They didn't get a practice in, but they should have more juice for their home opener. I mean,
You think it
should be more
hitting? Right? Fatigue's probably a huge part.
Yeah. But I hate to make excuses.
No, and you shouldn't.
Not
make
an excuse guy.
You shouldn't make excuses. Like, yeah, I understand fatigue is a thing, but you would sit there and say, okay, look, you're a little fatigued, but at least be competitive as much as you can be.
Exactly.
And I think that there's a lot of lack of competitiveness in their own end.
I agree.
And that's where the concern should be.
I'm very concerned.
Yeah.
He looks concerned. You look concerned. This isn't how you looked like a week or two ago when we saw you in the preseason.
So I had hope, for the season, the Mishkov effect, and he's been, as good as advertised. But Can I give myself a shameless plug, though?
Go
Go ahead. Talk into the mic.
Recovery night is coming up on what? Tuesday the 22nd?
Yeah.
And on Monday, God willing, I'll have 23 years sober.
God
Good on
bless.
you.
That's great. Good stuff. Good stuff, Eric.
That's excellent stuff.
Proud of you.
Super fan.
Proud of you, my friend. What did you think of Bundy calling you Jeffrey Dahmer?
Whatever. Doesn't bother me.
It's only because it was Bundy, right? He could get away with it, right?
See you, bye.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, there goes the concerned fan.
It's a concern.
Season debut. Now, Ant, a little bit ago, you mentioned this being a very bad game, and I would actually like to take us away from a bad game. And if I may, can I transport us to a good game? It is the second intermission, and as all of those wonderful Press Row Show fans out there know, the second intermission means one of two things. The Flyers are either winning, and we're just talking through, or the Flyers are losing, and we actively want to get the hell out of it, and so we throw it over to intern Andrew.
No, you mean you don't? It's if they're winning, you're usually asking Bundy how important the start of the third period.
No, don't steal the shtick for later, Buttercup. All right, here we go.
Look,
Intern
you
Andrew.
can't make up your mind with how you want this to look on
No, I
camera,
want it to
okay?
be like that. It's just the order of
So
operations.
Bundy's like half off the screen right now.
No, we're fine. It's okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
Now this way, when we look at intern Andrew, our heads are turning toward intern Andrew on the stream. That's next level producing.
That's really good.
That's right.
I think that's going to put us over the top.
That's exactly right. How do you improve
The best
from being-
podcast in the world now. Sorry,
Well-
Rogan.
Kamala Harris is talking about going on Rogan's podcast. Is she going to come on the press?
Snow to go
on
home.
the
I think
press
they're both
row?
doing it.
Yeah,
I think they're both doing it.
We should invite them on the show.
There we go.
Get Harris and Trump on this show.
That would be amazing.
That'd be fantastic. Many people would say, "What a great idea that would be." Bundy. They'd say, "What
The
a
hell with the
great-
debate. Just come on,
So
Snow the Goalie.
fantastic! You can have a great time. Let's get intern Andrew. He's a great kid. Go ahead.
So I ended last season. The last trivia question was a Bundy trivia question, and the people seem to really take to it. So I'll be sprinkling in some Bundy trivia questions from time to time this year, including tonight. We're gonna go back to back Bundy questions. So,
Okay.
do you know where I'm going with this so far?
It's got to be a Vancouver, obviously a tie to Vancouver. So I don't, but no, I.
November 19th, 1995. Flyers beat the Canucks
Overtime winner.
3-2 in overtime, and the overtime goal scorer was Christopher Therien.
Yes, sir. First and only.
You had it was your only career overtime point.
Well,
What
what
a
do you
stud.
want from me?
Good job, Bundy.
You had an assist earlier in that game also. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Do it all,
multi-point
baby. Do it
game.
all.
Really not that big a deal? So, similar question to the Capitals one from last year. Primary assist, secondary assist, and who was the Canucks goalie?
Yeah. So the goalie was it Kirk McLean?
That is correct.
Yeah, that's what I would have said.
Kirk McLean was the goalie. I'm going to say I'm going to guess the assist was. No, I was going to say Mark Recchi, but it couldn't have been him.
Right, he was already gone.
He was gone. So I'm going to go with.
This is the following year. This is the year after the lockout.
And it was a knuckler too. Like it hit something and it just flop through. I don't know.
All right, well, let's guess.
I was hoping you were going to know because I can't pronounce either of these names.
Carl Dykehouse.
No, it's not him. That's funny. You actually guessed him last time, too.
Well, you said you can't pronounce the
I don't
name.
know.
All right,
The
I
way
don't know.
it's spelled.
Me and Diker wouldn't have been on the ice in overtime together as rookies.
That's true.
When in doubt,
Well, you weren't a rookie. 95?
I was a rookie. Yeah, that was my first year. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the year before.
Yeah. Well, 94, 95.
Yeah,
Then they locked us
this
out.
was 95, 96, November of 95.
So
So it was your second year.
Oh, my second year in the league. Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. When in doubt, you know what I do? I think of all the IKEA furniture,
Oh, that might
and then
be-
I just start mumbling them. So,
So I couldn't say his
Malm.
name. Hold on. Let me think here. Then that's an interesting one. I'm trying to think who.
Malm.
I haven't
How
heard
about,
of either of these
I
guys.
got one guy. Anatoly Semenov.
That's unbelievable.
Is that my right?
That was the primary assist.
How is Semenov hard for you to say?
Well,
I didn't know how to pronounce the first name.
Anatoly.
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 That guy was the best. He used to smoke cigarettes between periods, and I was just in awe of that dude. He'd be out there this like taping a stick. Good period, Bundy. Good period. Just hacking on that baby, and I'm thinking to myself, man, these guys are going to get in trouble. Terry Murray comes by, he goes, "Come on in the locker room and smoke. You're going to get cold out here."
All right, so that
Now,
was.
did he smoke American cigarettes, or
Oh,
did
yeah.
he like
Oh,
import the?
yeah. No,
Because you know a lot of those
no
Eastern
Russian.
Europe guys,
No
those
Russian.
Eastern Europe guys, they like to get like the cigarillos.
This
like
baby, I would.
the told dark
If
ones.
I knew more about smoking then, I would actually have said this puppy may not have had a filter.
Oh.
Yeah, old school.
So I'm trying to think of who else was on that team that he maybe can't pronounce the name.
Rob DeMaio?
No.
Dinas Zubris.
No, he wasn't there.
I know who he is.
So
That
it's
Was that a little too early for
Dmitry Yuskevich.
No,
Was it a little too early for Zelepukin?
Zelly wasn't here then. No, he was in New Jersey.
Too
it
early?
is not him.
Was it Sean Podine?
That's exactly who it is.
Wow, what a
SHJON.
Sean.
I would have guessed Sean, but I wasn't sure.
Sean Podine.
what a trio that is.
So that was November 19th, 1995.
Semenoff, Bundy, and Podine.
What in overtime. I
What
wonder
the
how-
hell?
8 days later was Monday, November 27th, 1995, and your boy was born. There you go.
Right before his boy.
I'm sorry I missed it, Bundy.
Man, that makes me feel old now in turn.
Holy hell! So was that who was the coach for that? That put you
Terry Murray
Was that Murray?
believed in me.
Sounds like Murray was smoking something else to put those three on the ice at the same time.
Holy! What was he?
How said Tort sent that line out?
That's like today's fourth line today, right? Holy smokes!
That was a shot to the point. So anyway,
That's a
good job, Andrew. Well done,
pull.
buddy.
Well
Well done,
done.
kid.
Well
Great
done,
job.
young man.
Nice goal, Bundy. Nice goal.
Great
All
job.
right, there we go. That was intern Andrew as we come back in. Now, we have to address this. David Town over on YouTube. One of the saddest comments I've seen in all the years we've done the Press Row Show. Die-hard fan for 51 years, but they are on the brink of losing me. David, how did they not lose you during the Hextall years? How did they not lose you during the Chuck Fletcher years?
now they're
How did they not lose you during the final stretch of last season?
this isn't
This is actually the time that you don't get off now.
no this is
They're actual like young players that look like they might not be Garbaggio. Now's not the time to jump up.
I mean, it's a
51
bad
years.
it's a bad game, David. It's a bad game tonight, and I understand the frustration of them not being good for so long. But this team is young and heading in the right direction for the future. It's not the time to jump off now. I would
agree.
Yeah, I would have jumped off a couple years ago, but not now. Not now. And by the way, did you see that your mother's reference there, Andrew?
I did, yeah. I do normally like watching her shows, but chess was a tough watch.
I'm not a big chess fan.
Wait, you guys watched Chess as a Family?
No, she was in it.
She was in it.
Yeah, she does the theater.
Deirdre's a hell of a
You
singer.
100% knew that, by the way.
Hell of
He's
a singer.
Great singer, huh?
She's very good, yeah.
All
Nice
right.
lady.
Great lady.
Nice lady.
Great lady.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the fact that she made a chess reference to him was actually made me kind of chuckle.
Make you warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum?
No, it made me chuckle.
Now listen, we're going to be back here for postgame. Do we expect the Flyers to turn it around? I don't know, but we'll be back here postgame on the So the Goalie YouTube channel, Facebook, and X. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel, like the video. That's important. Comment on the video, whether it's in the live chat or after the fact. You can comment in the regular comment section. But Bundy, it is the first home game of the year. It is our first Press Row Show. Now I do have to ask you, Flyers are losing 3-0. What's the most important thing for them to do in the first 5 minutes of this third period?
Russ, you want to get pucks in deep and really work the defense. See you after the game.
Well, we have good news and we have bad news. The good news is that the Philadelphia Flyers had their home opener tonight. The bad news is the Philadelphia Flyers didn't know they had their home opener tonight. Absolutely egregious performance. One of the worst home openers I can remember in the last few years. And in fairness, not a lot of very good home openers. Not a lot of very good games in the last few years as a Flyers fan. If you're out there, this was disappointing in virtually every way. I'm Russ Joy, that's Bundy. Ant is now on assignment, not going down talking to Torts. He's on assignment. Intern Andrew is also here. Bundy, not good. Not good tonight.
It wasn't good tonight, and it was because I really feel, I'm going to just allude to it, I think that road trip just killed them for the amount of rest. They didn't have a lot of time to come back prepared. We didn't see a lot of these games like this last year, especially early. We did that in the last 12 or 15 games we did.
Yeah.
But we didn't see a lot of these games early, and the team really worked hard. They were really focused last year. They had some good bounces that went their way. But I think they created a lot of their own bounces as well.
Sure.
And I don't think that they did that so much tonight. They looked fatigued. They looked exhausted. They weren't ready to play.
Yeah.
And Vancouver, as we said, they were sitting here in the Eastern time zone waiting for a very fatigued and tired Flyers team coming back from Seattle in a game that hadn't even started 48 hours ago. So this is what they're up against. I'm going to give them a free pass here tonight because I do. I mean, I know what it's like to be on these trips to play tired, and it just wasn't their night tonight. So hopefully they can regroup, get themselves ready for that back and back with the Capitals.
It just felt brutal. You go back over this game and you look at the final stats. They're gone now. The teams ended up pretty damn level on shots. It was close by the end. But to me, it never felt like it was remotely close. This just felt like a Vancouver-dominated game, almost from the opening whistle through. The Flyers had a few opportunities. They maybe put together 4 or 5 decent, odd man rushes that didn't end up amounting to much of anything. But at no point did I feel like the Flyers were ever really close to getting one across the line. Was there a moment even in the third? We talked.
They had chances.
Yeah.
They did, but they hit a post. Tippett missed the net. Konechny hit a post on a breakaway, half breakaway. Yep. There was some opportunities, but there wasn't that second chance, get to the net and just hound the puck, hound the defense. Yeah. There was no, oomph. There was no jam.
That guy came up to us during the second intermission. He wrote on his phone, "Need more jam."
We needed, and Alex,
we had no peanut butter, we had no jam, we had no sandwich.
We're going back to Peter Laviolette days. That was his line, the jam. We got to get some jam.
Let's get some jam.
But you know what? There was no jam here tonight at all. Nothing. And there was some chances. They were one and done chances. Flyers came back on shots a little bit. They were still down for the count in the game, but at least made it. They put an effort force getting shots through towards the end, but it was not an optimal situation.
Intern Andrew brings up Lee Carrasso's comment. Lee, by the way, you left a 3-star review on Apple Podcasts. You leave a weekly 5-star review, and this last one was 3. And I don't know what happened there, Lee, but it's very upsetting. Anthony's not here postgame because he's boycotting just because of that. Anyway, Lee pointed out here, where the hell's it at? Oh, okay. Lee says no free ride. Need to blow up the team and get some talent other than Mishkov. Let's come back to that in a second. Alex Town here with an interesting note. Finishing was the problem tonight. With 5:30 left, Money Puck had the Flyers at a 65% on their deserve to win meter.
I don't even know what that means. So if you guys want to go with that place,
it's all Greek. But
I don't care about that money thing, whatever it is. I don't. It's ridiculous.
Finishing did seem to be a huge issue tonight, though.
Yeah, I know. And someone's going to give me crap for saying, I didn't pay attention. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I see what I see on the ice. Yeah. The Flyers had chances. They didn't capitalize when they were there. But there is no sustained attack in the game. So money puck, as I said, doesn't need. I don't need.
We love the money
for
puck.
them to tell me that.
You and I had a conversation during the third period. I think it's probably worth putting in front of the people. I think it was around the first intermission. I think it was the first intermission. We were talking about Mishkov, and you were saying that it kind of looked like they're forcing it to him.
Yes.
Trying to get something going. Then we saw in the third period. The thing about Mishkov to me right now is, if you're a Flyers fan, you have to feel good about the initial returns here because he looks comfortable. He looks confident. He's not perfect by any stretch, but he's 19. You kind of give him a little bit of a pass on the overall game. But to me, he looks like he processes the game at a different speed than everyone else. He's getting guys in advantageous positions. He's setting up these guys to potentially score some goals. Like he set up Konechny late in the third, and it's like if you just have somebody who has the better ability to finish, Mishka probably has a few more points on the season. Maybe you're able to get a momentum swing. They just had a real hard time finishing tonight.
There's a little bit of they're disjointed right now. I hate to say disconnect or disjointed because, as I said, they're having a hard time fielding a lineup that they can leave together through the game. So the coach, he doesn't have any patience. So it decides most of the time he's going to try to flip-flop lines and try to find guys that are going. And listen, I get that in a night like tonight because there wasn't a lot of guys going. So you try to find out after the first. You could tell as a coach, like say, okay, I got 8 guys that are going good. So how exactly are we going to
that was like a 2-week-old baby.
I saw that baby down. Dude, that baby was brand new.
That's like a fresh baby.
That was like right out.
Teeny tiny little baby.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I saw that little one down there. So cute, but my goodness, is that ever little to bring a little one to the game?
Well,
like
we don't judge that. We just,
Well, it's got to get the earmuffs on that little one.
Well, they're getting that little one ready for all the disappointment of, being a Philly sports fan,
I did see it. That's an itsy bitsy. But you know what, though? It's great with that, though. Somebody who had to be really, really dedicated and wanted to be at this game tonight. They probably couldn't get a sitter, so they brought the little one with them.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's this comment over here. Look at this. So Desert Fox says it's not panic, it's dread for the rest of the season. And that was in response to Mike Boots, who is typically one of our people who, I believe he won the competition last year for the predictions. Said the idiotic panic after 5 games is absolutely laughable. This was a bad night. This will happen, like it or not. Let's frame this a little bit. We haven't done the actual first 20 games prediction episode that we typically do. We'll probably do it next week. We've had our predictions out ahead of every game. I don't think any of us have lived in this weird world where we expect rainbows and smiles and that the Flyers are going to look like the team from the first half of last year. I think that we all were pretty confident that the way that the team finished at the end of last year probably wasn't its own realistic view. It was somewhere in the middle. The really great goaltending they had to start last season maybe threw people for a loop and made them think that this team is farther ahead than it actually is. Should people be panicked? Is there anything to panic about? I don't think it's a very good team. So what could there be to panic about if it's not a very good team?
That seems to be some of the stuff I'm getting is people are, I don't want to say it because I saw the team last year. So here's what happened last year, right? They were trying to build something and they were at ground zero, literally at ground zero from where they were, from what the team was. So last year, all they had to do was put on their work boots, put a smile on in the crowd. People are going to come back. They love Flyers hockey. They love being part of this. It's a great community relationship the Flyers fans have with this team and this organization, and they always have. So they built it up. They had some great luck. They beat some teams that they shouldn't have beaten. Teams took them for granted. That's exactly what happened, and they ended up compiling some wins early in the year. They built a lot of goodwill. The problem is at the end of the year, it didn't end well, and there's still a sentiment and a freshness of sorts from some of the fans, because I get a lot of text too, and we see a lot of the comments that are coming across that teams, and I'll tell you what one of the reasons is, teams are more prepared for them. They're going to be more ready to play the Flyers. They're not going to let them catch up on them this year and say, hey, if we're not ready, we're going to lose to a team that we shouldn't have. How many games the Flyers win last year where you're like, wow, this was an unbelievable win. Vegas at home, they were beating some really good teams.
Yeah.
And now if you look at the schedule with all honesty, they've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Right.
No regulation wins in 5 games.
No, not a single regulation win.
Nope.
So even because Vancouver, that was a great game. They
a
played well
win.
in that game, right?
Yep.
They ended up staying with it, getting the lead, and coming back. But things are different. Not every year is not the same.
Yep.
Not every year is the same until you build your talent level with the competitiveness, and that's how you know that you have an excellent team that's going to go far and do special things.
Let's talk about, so we kind of talked about Mishkov a little bit. Let's talk about the other young guy in the lineup, the one that Tortorella and the coaching staff really fought for, having up here for a 9-game look. Jet Lachenko did not have a remarkable game by any stretch tonight. Looked very much like an 18-year-old tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is it that you saw out of him tonight? And is there a part of you that thinks, all right, continue to give him the opportunity here through these first 9 games that he can have, and then probably just send him down? What do you look for? What's a thing that you kind of try to build off with him?
Well, probably a few guys that. I'm sorry, Russ. I just lost you. You're talking which guy?
Luchenko. Yeah, so just too young. I kept thinking Mishkov, and I had all these TVs on in the background where I was watching highlights of some of the NHL games.
He's everywhere over there in the Snow the Goalie Sportsbook.
He's a kid that looked like he came from junior and played in an NHL game.
Yep.
And so what happens with that? You're going to get, guys are going to be, they're going to be speed wise. They're going to be with you. They're going to make plays that you don't see in the Ontario Hockey League yet. He's just such a kid, but these are important moments for his development. I mean, there are moments in time, whether he stays or not. I believe that he won't. Not because he's not going to get better or won't play well here, but because it's just too long of a season for an 18-year-old kid that just turned 18 and that still has a lot to learn. So he got caught. He turned the puck over too many times tonight. There's 3 times I counted 3 turnovers by him where pucks had to go in the zone and they did not. And am I ever going to blame him? Never. He's just he's a kid trying to learn the game.
That's actually something in the third period. Some people started booing.
Yeah.
Luchenko. I think he had an errant pass that went out to neutral ice. They lost possession momentarily, and people started booing. And you immediately were just kind of like, stop booing the kid.
Yeah, don't boo the kid. He's a kid. He's a good kid. He's a kid, and like I said, it's getting to the weird stage now where I'm starting to compare the kids now to my son, who's going to be 18 next month, and it's kind of weird because I see a lot of this young guy in my own son, who I still think is just a kid. So. Again, and I understand what that comes with, but he's a mature young guy, and he's going to have a bright future, but he needs to just keep playing and be a leader, like for Team Canada, his junior team, and just really grow this year, which you can't do here. You just can't grow like that here.
For sure. Another forward that people are starting to show a little bit of concern about, and we're not talking about John Couturier, who we could certainly go over Coots in a little bit, but another guy that there were high expectations for going into the season, and it was especially because of the contract that he was given this past offseason, was Travis Konechny. Entering tonight's game, 3 points on the season, a goal, 2 assists. He has not been excellent at finishing either. I'm seeing significant, to me, I've had a few concerns with how he's looked in the last few games. Tonight, especially, being put in good enough positions, not executing.
Konechny's a guy that, again, and when you look at Travis Konechny, maybe I don't have the numbers, but what's the most points he's had in his career to this point in a single season? Is it 64?
68.
68, okay.
Last season.
So, again, when you got a guy like that, now that's, do we get to 70 points, 75 points? Is he a point-a-game player? I don't know. He's another guy, though, he has the puck a lot. And he's starting to be more formidable with it. He seems to be taking on a leadership type of role with the puck. Yeah. But again, you have to make good decisions. Don't force things. Let the game come to you. But certainly with what they paid him, he's going to be expected to score 30 goals, if not more, with that kind of contract. Sure. And that's why they pay him that kind of money. Same with Owen Tippett. Owen Tippett again missed the net again too many times.
There was that 2-on-1. This is for the people who didn't check in during the intermission shows, but he has a 2-on-1 with Mishkov. And it's a wide open passing lane to Mishkov, who probably catches the goalie leaning the wrong way. And just given his ability to finish, you'd think he'd probably net it. Tippett takes the shot, misses the net by a pretty considerable amount. Not ideal. What happened?
I don't know. I hit something.
Oh, Bundy.
Go ahead, put it back to where it was. I was looking at I was trying to get the shots, and I thought it would just pull up on mine. So
we can pull it up right here.
Yeah, shots on final shots. Yeah,
32 to 26.
It was 26-11 at one point. Okay. So the Flyers finished off with a 15-6 push, but the game was 3-0 then, and I think believe me, even though it's 3-0, you get a sense that the other team has nothing. Yeah. And the Flyers had nothing going tonight. Nothing.
Apparently Lawton just said in the locker room that time travel had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, well, he can say that. And I love the fact that he doesn't want to use an excuse. I used it for them tonight. I don't give many passes, Russ. You know that.
Yeah.
I gave them one tonight.
Let's wrap up tonight with a thing that we thought was a huge story going into this game, and it was the lines, and it was Jean Couturier, the captain, who had a little bit of a thing with the coach last year. He gets named captain, and shortly thereafter gets benched. There were certainly some back and forth between those two. I don't think that's much of a secret. We interviewed Couturier leading into the season. You could tell there's still some kind of hurt from last season. There's still some kind of whatever it is, anger, animosity, whatever it is. You could tell there's still something there. He said, blank slate. You try to do a clean slate to start the season. Tonight was the home opener. Sure, it was his 800th career game. he starts on the fourth line as a left winger. Now, I know that there are people out there. I put out there on Twitter that an interesting call. Sure, it seems like everything's fine with the coach. You get a lot of people who are very quick to jump on Couturier again because of how last season ended. They're very down on the guy. I can't think of many veteran coaches in this league who would have looked at knowing it was his 800th game, it's the home opener, and said, that's the time to send that message, to put that guy on the wing on the fourth line.
Yeah,
to me, that's more of a statement by the coach than it is this is what's best for business.
I had no idea what the messaging was in that. What the results from that will be, I don't know. But I'll tell you what, it'll leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth because the loss doesn't help. So everything gets magnified. I don't get it. I don't understand why. If you really just wanted to say, okay, I'm going to let the guy play and leave him alone, just put him fourth line center. That's what you're going to do with him, and that's what you think of him. Then just play him fourth line center and tell him you're going to get 8 to 12 minutes a night, maybe.
Yeah. But then it boom on the wing. I can't think of the last time that we saw him.
So what happened in from the end of the game when watching video on the flight home?
Yeah.
Did the coaches come together and say, here's what we're going to do tomorrow night? I don't know where they came up with that, but there's obviously in their mind, there was a reason for it. Maybe Torts will get to it. We'll hear it next game. We don't have Anthony going down there tonight because he's got an Associated Press article he's got to take care of. But I don't know what that thought process was, and it kind of changed back anyway. But to not have Coots even taking draws during the game was kind of crazy because he's still their best faceoff guy.
Yeah. Greg G has a really interesting question here. We can get ready to wrap here. Says, Bundy, just a random question. Is it obvious as a player when the other players are quitting on the team? And if so, do the leaders of the team usually handle that situation privately before coaches?
No. What'll happen is if it goes on for a long period of time, they'll have a team meeting where it's only the players and the coaches are not welcome in that meeting. And they know it. The coaches like, that's when your leadership group says, guys, what's going on? What happens is when you see guys that are, you're not going to have a meeting for being shut out. You're going to have a meeting for why you didn't score any goals or why your team's not playing well. Most of the time, you'll see a guy turn away from a check. He won't finish a check. He won't make the hard play, the determined play. He won't block a shot when it's there. He won't make the sacrifice to get the puck or get to the puck first to get the puck out. That's how you know your team's breaking down. Was there a little bit of that? There was, but it wasn't all that. The biggest issue, I think, right now is they're disjointed all over the place. And that's the coaching staff's job to find that chemistry. The worst part is to say we had success last year. We beat teams last year. And then to try to flip the script again and then do it over again, it's a challenge. It really becomes difficult. So every year is different. And as I said, people are not going to overlook this team anymore. Why would they? Every game's too important. Yeah. Every game's too important. We used to say the first 25 games, no one just said oh, we're just going to take it off. But there was never an emphasis now where you have to have that much that's so paramount about an early season game. But there is now because the standings at the end of the year, you got 5 teams within 1 or 2 points at the end of your standings. So that's why these games are they're huge right now. And every NHL game is now. It's like 17 NFL games. There's 82 NHL games. And if you want to make the playoffs, you've got to be alive most nights. You do. Everyone's going to have a bad night. That happens. And tonight was one of them. But how do you manufacture the year? How do you put it all together where you become a playoff team?
It's interesting because the way that last season played out, you're right, the way that teams might have looked over them. We talked about it around the trade deadline. There weren't going to be as many sellers because so many teams were still, in theory, within that bubble playoff range. It felt like last year there weren't that many elite teams. It felt like a vast majority of the league could have just as easily been top 10 in the draft as they could have making it into the playoffs. So far this season, I don't know what you've seen, but I've seen a lot of parity in the league. I'm not seeing a ton of deep elite teams again. It feels like this season could once again be setting up for just a big jumbled mess in the middle to the bottom of the standings.
Teams will find their legs like Edmonton last. Remember how brutal they were? They were that far out of the playoffs and they end up going on this incredible run. There will be teams that will emerge. We just don't know who they are yet.
I guess my point with that is it's still early, and I'm not going to overlook or I'm not going to read too much into these 5 games. But I don't think the Flyers have really played elite teams so far, and they've been outclassed in multiple games. They're not going out against the best of the best so far. And to me, it's a little bit concerning that they're
Vancouver's a good team. They're an excellent hockey team.
Yeah.
Their record in the standings last year was phenomenal. They had a great road record last year, and they got them early in the year. So, Vancouver, they got 1 point out of them. Vancouver got 3 out of 4 points. So, again, Vancouver did their job. The team that were lackluster that they played at the beginning, and I hate to say it because they were games they could have won, I thought were Calgary and Seattle.
Yeah.
Edmonton was playing horrible.
I mean, we know Edmonton has the top end talent.
They got Edmonton going. Edmonton, from the first shift of the game, got a little tiny bit better all the way through the game, and that's how they ended up winning. But the Flyers let them get better.
Yeah. Not JD also checked in over on YouTube and said Coots just mentioned they couldn't finish. So we're not blaming the travel, and they couldn't finish. Okay. The Flyers are back. I mean, it's not a very long turnaround here, Bundy. We spent all summer waiting for the Flyers to come back, and they are back. The Flyers are back in action on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night we'll be here.
It's an early start. It's 6 o'clock start, not 7. 6 o'clock start.
You know why?
Why?
Somebody thought the Phillies would be playing in the NLCS.
Well,
yes, I'm right.
about that, yeah.
I'm right.
They listened to Anthony, didn't they?
Oh, yeah.
Anthony's
so mad right now. He still thinks the Phillies are in it.
He's still seething.
Yeah, I know.
The best part with him is he gets when he believes in something, he has true conviction. And if you say anything to the contrary, he gets worked up.
I've got a text message that I saved from him for 5 months ago, and I'm hopefully in 10 or 12 days.
Was that the Yankees one?
Yes,
oh,
just an absolute beautiful
for sure.
thing. Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Tonight was not a great start for the Flyers. It was a nice start for the Press Row Show. We'll be back here every home game, and then at some point, it's either going to be this week or this upcoming week or the week after. We're going to start doing the regular Snow the Goalie show in the studio, which is right over there. It used to be the Rage Room. And maybe sometimes we'll go in there and we'll rage after a bad Flyers game. But we'll start doing shows in there as well. The better production quality. We still maintain, very important, still maintain creative control over our show. And if we think that the coach is doing something questionable, if we think that a player is playing poor, we are still going to get to do our show. It's just we're going to do it with better cameras and microphones.
You're never going to get lied to here. I can promise you that.
We would sooner walk away.
I agree. I totally agree.
And maintain the integrity than
to ever tell something that wasn't
exactly,
or a thought that was misguided.
Rob Greeley says next game Ant wears Russ's pink jacket. Remember that Chris Farley
like
thing?
A banana hammock for Ant? Remember that thing last year?
Banana hammock for Ant.
We're still trying to come up. Anybody want to come up with some Halloween thoughts for intern
Andrew? I won't be here on Halloween. I'm gonna go trick or treating with my kids.
Last year? Were you the elf? No, that was Christmas. That was Christmas. Were you Halloween? What were you?
We Halloween last year. We hadn't gotten into the costume phase of my tenure here. It wasn't really a thing. I wasn't really a character on the show at that point.
We didn't start hazing you at that point.
No.
We told him though if he didn't dress up like the elf, he was gone.
That is true.
Yeah, and then he dressed like the elf.
He's very much dressed like the leprechaun for the La Cecilia Press Road show.
He did, yeah.
It took me a little bit to
warm up,
like realize I was getting in on the joke. At first, I thought you guys were just being mean, but now I get it.
We'd never be mean to you.
We're not mean.
No, definitely not.
We're not mean.
We're
people.
all inclusive here, buddy.
That's exactly right. All right, so we will be back on Tuesday with the Press Row Show. If you are going to be in the building, you go through the glass doors in section 121, take the elevator up, tell them you're going to the sports book. You come right around, and we're right here. We have new equipment this year, too. It's very exciting.
It is. It's great stuff.
We have great lighting now.
Last thing before I go,
yeah.
Someone mentioned the tailgate. We're having a tailgate. We're having a tailgate. We promise you we are.
We haven't finalized the date for it yet.
We're going to get it. We're going to do it before it gets like brutally cold, but we want to hang out with everybody. We want you to come. We're looking forward to it. We are. It's going to happen.
All right, so that's probably a good time to wrap. We will be back on Tuesday night. Keep an eye peeled out for the social channels, where we'll be making some announcements. We have a new segment coming to the show that we'll probably talk about next week.
That's going to be great. Can't wait.
All I'll tell you is it'd be a really good idea if you're a high school player, if you have a kid who plays minor, you have kids who play youth hockey, somebody who plays college hockey, whatever. If they score a good goal.
If something is absolutely ridiculous.
Do we just announce it? Should we just announce it?
No, let's leave.
Okay.
You just may want to have a camera handy until next week till we tell you. But we want this to be a
Keep
very
those
good
videos
family
handy.
event. Keep the videos.
Yep.
We'll tell you what it is. We love it.
We'll see you next week. All right. A big thank you to everybody who joined us on YouTube, X, and Facebook. We'll be back on Tuesday night. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Shake this one off. We'll talk to all of you very soon here on Snow the Goalie and the Press Row Show. Talk to all of you very